when it comes to Koreans, you're lucky if they pay their taxes. Just consider yourself blessed if Koreans pay their taxes. So again, there is a cultural issue there, right? Well, you did what you did. Now you sit down and you help. It's a very important plant for Georgia, and a very important plant, especially for that area, right? I'm sure Hyundai is going to want a certain percentage of Korean workers. We have to come to the conclusion that there has to be a give and take on these work visas, right? So, just work it out. So labor has an interest in that plant coming back online as soon as possible, possibly using additional U.S. citizen employees, which may have given rise to the issue to begin with. If you're in that area and you're not hiring the locals, some of the locals may make a call on you. Right? I don't know. Again, I can't tell you what happened at the plant, but I know Koreans, and obviously they just do their thing, and they're not that culturally bound to those kind of regulations. Right. So you have to help them with it. And that may be what labor might tell them. We want at least 10% or 20% local employees. I don't know what it was, so I can't represent what it was. It sounds like it may have been 0. Right. Thank you, Larry. And I don't even know if there is a workforce for that place there. I don't know. But again, sometimes that's like when Georgia says, yes, Hyundai's going to bring this plant, and part of what Brian Kemp says, or what his administration says, is we're going to bring jobs to this area. And then it turns out that everybody's imported. And then that causes an issue. So Brian Kemp, essentially what happened is Georgia touched in, and I received. So I came up with that plan and then posted it. I don't know if they didn't say, Larry, hey. I didn't do that, but again, right. I'm in a bunch of stuff, but I never seem to receive because these people keep blocking when the system's trying to pay me. Right. And then these people work for foreign governments and others. Right. Even though it might be like an American boss hiring a PI. It's a big scam that's going on. It's the extension of what I said was going on when New Jersey stopped those PIs from doing that pedophile hunting bullshit, right? Torturing men and isolating men, and then coming up and trying to, pedophilize them. Correct. Thank you, Larry. Thanks, Larry. Well, the best way to handle it is labor and DHS, because they're going to need, what I'm getting from the union side, they believe that they need visas. And they complain about the visa process itself, right? And obviously, Georgia needs that plant back online. Georgia needs some Georgians working there. I don't know what the number is, right? They're a little discouraged by the representation. They don't know the 100% reality yet of what that workforce was. Well, they accept that there's Latino workers. They accept, they know reality. I mean, off the record, they accept that there's Korean workers, and we understand there's an issue with visas. That's a bad thing, right? But what some people, I don't know who they are, what their impression was that plant would hire locals, and they're not even sure if any locals, or at least inside, nobody's sure how many locals are working, if any, right? Well, I wouldn't say local, Georgian residents, U.S. citizen, right? So again, they're saying, okay, realistically, we realize Hyundai is going to hire who they're going to hire, but when we bring these people into Georgia, we want a certain percentage to be U.S. citizens. Right? At first blush, it doesn't appear that was happening. All right. Thank you, Larry. So again, we also have a guy that opened a supermarket to serve the Korean community. So what I foresee is this, that at some point, you and Hyundai are going to agree to a certain number of work visas from Korea. Right. And And then I don't know what the rest is. Right. Well, again, I believe that quite possibly there are Georgians that would live there and work there that are U.S. citizens. Right. But we may not have, even if we wanted a 100% U.S. citizen workforce, which may not be feasible for several reasons, but even the fact that there may not be a 100% workforce available. Right. And I think Hyundai says they have certain people, you know, that they trust and things like that. Right. Well, they believe if the workforce isn't at least partially what they want, that they have less control over the final product. Right. But again, Brian Kemp and his people are kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. You know, they want that plant back online as soon as possible. But again, you know, they are Republican, they are Georgia citizens, and they're U.S. citizens. They realize that something happened. Right. So again, the only way to do it is the way I'm saying to do it. You need to get that plant back online. Again, I know Chrissy Toonan wants a rule for what they did, and you know it's appropriate. But again, it's really important to get that plant back online. If we can get some, you know, I don't know who's there, right? Well, again, labor comes in, and you know, they says we want these people, and labor says, well, we can give you these people, we can't give you those people, but we can tell you over here, if you contact these people, you'll get these people instead of those people. So again, let's get something moving, because that's a very important project in Georgia. Right. Thank you. But we don't want to alienate investment. Correct. Because that alienates investment. Now, Koreans made an error. I know they did that. That's just the way they are. Right. They're not culturally bound to those kind of regulations. Right. 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 Help them comply. Yeah, that's the word. Right. Help they comply. Well, because if you help them, they get the plant back online, and everybody, again, you don't want the plant to sit there 3 months, you know, idle, or something go wrong. Then 3 months later, you know, the media is going to pick it up. Goes, Trump killed this plant. Right. Right. So again, it's a win-win for everybody involved. If we get somebody from labor, somebody from DHS, the DHS person knows, you know, the regulations as far as how the hiring is supposed to be conducted, plus they have an end to, you know, expedited work visas. Right. And then we have the person from labor overseeing it, because, you know, that's their thing. Right. And then they could help direct, right, for help human resources and find people. Because you might want to, because essentially you might have to relocate some people out of like Atlanta or some of the other cities. Right. There is a workforce, and then again, Hyundai has a concern that if let's say they hire people out of Atlanta, that are American citizens. Right. It's again, they have some people they have in mind, and they would prefer to use them. Right. So again, you know, it's a combination of everybody's interest. Right. Everybody, you know, all the stakeholders have an interest, and they realize that, and everybody else realizes that. So let's get it together and start today. Start making a deal or whatever it is. All right, stay peaceful, praise God.